two of the best champions in the entire meta still have to be taken away. Really going to be looking at the jungle meta here going into game number 2. We kind of really shockingly saw the Trundle and the Qiyana be the 2 picks in game 1 with things like Pantheon and Xin Zhao all available. Right now, Vi is still left up on the table as well. That's been a massive pick for NIP, so plenty of things still left in the container here for NIP to drop on that B1.
Would not be surprised to see a first pick Vi here for the Ninjas. Obviously still a lot of powerful junglers up, but this is Guwon's most played champion, and it was left unbanned. NIP with that first selection opting to pick first in the draft, with Weibo going over to the blue side. So this is exactly what you set yourself up with, having lost that first game. But maybe they feel like the tier list is wide enough that they can instead go a different direction. We'll see what the selection ends up being. It's the Annie that was banned away from Kara in game 1.
Xiaohu's had a lot of great games on Annie this split. This is a bit of a takeaway, but also it's an enabler for Care. Care not exactly the most dominant carry right now in terms of how he's stepping up and playing these 1v1s. I think getting him on a champion that can facilitate more jungle play is very, very good for NIP, plays into their strengths as a team. And like you said, the jungle pool is still wide enough. Vi is left up on the table, but Pantheon, Xin Zhao, I mean, all of these champions would be decently fine counters into the Vi, as we've seen in pro play through the last couple of years. So I don't think you're too scared of trading that over. I just am curious to see what Weibo wants to pair up with that Vi in the middle of the map. Could be something like a Talia. We're seeing her re-enter the meta quite a bit after the buffs she got on this patch in particular. Could be something more passive like the Victor, and looks like it's going to be more for that late game team fighting again.
Just a handshake mid lane matchup. You're able to match wave clear, team fight into the later games. As you say, the damage the Arcane Storm brings once you hit level 16 really does become very powerful. It's going to be a Yunara here for Assum. It's been something that Weibo have also been playing very heavily. Going to be matched alongside the Hank's Lulu. We'll see what Weibo wants to answer with here. They're not going to be able to match fully in terms of their bot lane.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. When there's no Lucian Milio, they almost always go to the Yunara Lulu. If they take away the Lulu or the Yunara, then they go to the Jhin. And so it's just down the totem pole here for Assum and Zhuo, getting a lot of their most played champions. The Scion, the answer on the top side. Grapes, we have a tank in this series for the first time in the first 2 games. That's definitely got to be considered a comfort pick for Zika at this point with how much he's played Scion over his career. Definitely some pretty obvious ideas for both of these teams. You've got some front-to-back ideas already going for Weibo Gaming. Victor's going to have that huge range advantage into the Annie in the early game to be able to just clear wave and get to those team fights. But if you can get Yunara enabled, you're probably going to have an aggressive jungler alongside the Annie as well with that engage tool. You could have some really dangerous front-to-backs as well for NIP.
The Gnar and the Xin Zhao taken away. You wonder, I'm kind of always wondering in the back of my head, is that a flex pick that they're banning here for NIP? Does Hoya have a top lane Xin Zhao in his back pocket? Feels like something that he'd be whipping up in solo queue. That man's a bit of a demon over there, as we have seen throughout this season. Been a real fun emergence of this player, and he's going to get counterpick against a Scion for Zika. Final ban going to be the Caitlyn against Elk, wanting to make sure there's not a ton of crazy lane power here for Elk and the Hank.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the Hank wants to go towards. He's played so few champions at the tier 1 level that you really don't know what his comfort is at this point. Obviously got only his 2nd game of Karma in game number 1. Looked really good on it, but do you want to play an engager? Do you want to play more for the team fights that you've already built for with, Victor and, a lot of the combos? Do you want to play more safe on the bottom side? That's going to be the big question. They're hovering the Jhin right now. Would be a bit of a takeaway from NIP in future games as well, if this does go to a potential game 3, but I am a little bit concerned with having Jhin and Scion as your 2 side laners. Neither really want to be prioritized heavily in the early game. Lots going to be on this Vi to create some action with the Guwon now locked in as the tank buster on the other side.
Yep, certainly something that has a good time against Scion, and I know that from experience. Final pickup here for NIP, going to be that Nefiri for Guwon, so sticking to that assassin mindset. Another very squishy yet aggressive comp for the Ninjas. Weibo playing things a little bit more safe. They got a Bard to finish off this bot lane with the Hank.
I think these are some interesting compositions. You are seeing Guwon continue to be such an integral focal point. He was so good in game number 1 on the Qiyana. You just didn't really have the follow-up, and I am concerned that there's not a ton of follow-up here as well. But one of the things I'm even more concerned about when you look on the other side of the map, yes, I think this Bard is perfect for this comp, but where is the Bard roaming? You want the Bard and the Vi to create a lot of action in the early game. Victor's not really a champion that can do a lot, especially pre-level 6. The Scion's weak side, the Jin's probably weak side with the Bard roaming in this game. It feels like you've drafted a lot of these playmaking tools and no one to playmake for. So you're definitely going to be watching out for all of the snap engage tools coming in from Ninjas and Pyjamas, because as much as we talk about their pressure in the late game, they also have plenty of tools to create at level 6.
Weibo's either winning this game really early or really late, it seems.
Yeah.
Not a ton of damage in that middle, the meat of the sandwich portion of this second matchup. Weibo Gaming certainly will have that advantage if they can try to stack some dragons early, get to an early soul. That is certainly where they will be able to have an advantage. But the advantage right now in this series goes to Weibo. They were to take that game 1, albeit it was a close one, and a lot of bloodiness in that matchup as well, hoping that this game's able to deliver a little bit of the same. Been a tough game for Care this time. Going to be on another champion that he has a little bit more comfort on in the Annie. We'll see if he's able to deliver and force a decider here in NIP's own home arena in Shenzhen.
He's gonna need to. Obviously wasn't very good in game number 1 on the Rise. Has to step up to be that enabler in game 2.
Game number 2 about to begin. Not as crazy as a level 1 as we had in game 1. Take a look at the runes all throughout. A lot of Deathfire touch here for Weibo. Okay, man, that means to me this team really is trying to scale.
Yeah, I think you could probably tell that from the comp as well, but they're making it very, very obvious that they are looking for the team fights here. We're absolutely right, Grapes. They're either going to win early or late. My biggest concern here with Weibo is that they need to make sure they get that lane priority. The heal burn on the bot side to push them forward. This is exactly how you want to play the Jhin early in the laning phase. If Bard stays around, should be a relatively good 2v2 for Weibo. I just don't imagine the Hank is going to spend a lot of time in this lane after we start hitting level 3 or level 4.
And you heard the Jiejie here in Shenzhen. Again, this is NIP's second of 3 matchups in their own home arena to wrap up the regular season. Hasn't necessarily gone the way that they have been hoping for, Kman. Again, this is home field advantage. This should be an opportunity for Ninjas Pyjamas to try to make that run towards the top 4 of the standings, but the loss to IG really hurt. This Weibo team definitely is not one that they were hoping to drop against, and they gotta wrap themselves up on Tuesday against Top Esports.
I think that's the thing, right, is when you look at the schedule, this is the must-win series. Like, this is the one that you have to go out and win if you want any chance of top 4. Yes, you're hopeful you can beat TES, but if you can't beat Weibo, you can't keep yourself in a good spot. Guwon once again looking early to flash.
Oh yeah, gonna flash immediately by Xiaohu, but Guwon doesn't care about that. He goes underneath the tower to secure first blood.
I would never in a million years expect that if I was Xiaohu, and he ends up succumbing to a brilliant double flash gank. Yes, it's a lot of resources burned, but that is a really good gold injection onto this Nefiri. Guwon was excellent, up 3,000 gold at points in game number 1. He's on another carry here in game number 2, and he definitely now has the resources to be able to continue to pressure out a Vi that might have a little bit more tempo in the mid game, but certainly has to be careful.
Kiana's a similar story to this one, but especially for the Nefiri. If you get an early lead, you can absolutely take over a League of Legends game. I've seen Guwon do that a couple of times here in his short time in Group Ascend. He's already off to the races with an early kill and already controlling that bot side jungle.
Really, really like this strategy from NIP. Honestly, awesome.
Ooh, Assum and Zhuo. They're chunking down Elk and the Hank as well. Already burning a couple of those summoner spells. That's just the barrier here. Elk really wants to make sure they're able to finish off this wave, and with the cannon coming in, should be able to reset, but there's Assum and Zhuo going back to their good old tendencies of dominating the laning phase.
I mean, this is really bad for Elk because he needs to continue to push up if he wants the Hank to either play aggressive in lane or roam to help out his jungler, who is now technically ahead in tempo with camps, but in a pretty scary spot, and the Hank might have overstayed.
Yeah, he's trying to hold the wave. He might just end up getting dove. Has to burn the flash to make sure he does not get chased underneath his tier 2 turret. And so just will be that cannon minion being denied by Elk, who had to go back to base and will be down in XP for the remainder of the lane.
Yeah, they don't see Guwon. He jumped perfectly over the wall, so they have no vision of this Nefiri being in this spot. I'd be so curious to see if he's making this play mid.
Going twice, just as nice. Looks like they won't be able to finish off with that gank. Xiaohu sniffed him out a little bit too early. So it will just be early plate picked up here for NIP, but take a look at the gold. Already 1,000 in their advantage at the 4.5 minute mark.
This is so scary if you're Weibo because you need to make sure that you're in a good gold spot. This mid game can get scary really fast, and quite frankly, we talk about all this scaling. We talk about the Deathfire touch on Victor and on Jhin, and the fact that you're going to have this Victor Scion late game. you know, I know people got mad at me last time for saying that Vi is not a primary carry in the later part of the game, but you're eventually going to have trouble being able to match the damage from Yunara and Guwon and Nefiri in the later part of this game as well. A gold disadvantage is only going to make that harder here.
And NIP in a great spot. Now we get a little skirmish around the bottom side river. Guwon gonna dodge away from the Vault Breaker, but still get hit up by a lot of damage from the Hank and Xiaohu, forcing that summoner heal out of Zhuo with the first dragon now spawned.
Just a greedy fight there from NIP. No real reason to posture as they're continued to be pushed out of their own jungle. Top lane ultimate trade here as Zika's going to presumably use that ult once he hits level 6, but for now just gonna be a 1 trade overall as he gets to hold on to it.
Oh,
I know.
It's a tough wave state for Zika to be in. Very patient of him to make sure he doesn't just, you know, if the Balance was in that game, he'd be dying for that wave immediately, right? So a little bit more willpower here for Zika. He's going to have this wave crash in. Again, has the unstoppable onslaught. Being taken pretty low by Hoya, but should be all right.
Yeah, I mean, this lane sucks for Sion. I'm sure you know well, Grapes, that this is not really a fun lane to play out. And for bad news, it doesn't really get easier at any point in the game for Sion. He's just going to continue to get bursted by this Guwon, so much so that he's now focusing the top side.
Now a dive could end up happening. Zika does have his flash and the ulti. Vulnerability still available here for Guwon, but he actually doesn't end up landing it finally. Able to pop that. Knocked up here. Zika's able to get one. Hoya doesn't finish off the kill himself. He might go down as well. It's Zika bouncing back. A double kill for the Sion underneath his own tier 1.
It's a complete nightmare for ninjas in Pyjamas. Everything on that play that could go wrong does go wrong. They just use all the abilities to juggle that tower aggro at the wrong time, and it costs them everything. The Sion is super enabled on the top side. I get that this is still going to be a hard laning phase, but you needed to get gold on this Gwen if you're going to make that play. The lead that Guwon got in the early game with that free kill is gone now. He's only down 200 gold and a bunch of CS.
The bot lane gonna try to make up for it though. The Hank in some trouble. The Bola gonna take him down, but Assum and Zhuo very low, and Elk is level 6. Doesn't have enough mana for that curtain call though just yet. He's 40 away. Can instead try to finish things off with a 4th shot, and he finds it with a flash on a Zhuo.
Oh, we've got another chaotic game on our hands, Graves. The action never stops here in the LPL. As we're going to get a quick replay of the top side before we go back into talking about that bot lane fight. It's just really poorly played from NIP. They land basically none of their damage. The ult is perfect from Zika. Guwon has to try and invul himself for the tower aggro, but once Zika just charges up the Q, it's too late. He already took too many tower shots. Hoya ends up getting aggro as well and dies, obviously, to the shot. There's just nothing to like about that play. Pretty much everything going wrong for Weibo on the top side. They are able to pull some gold back on the bot side, but it is a trade of kills onto the AD carries, and while that might benefit the Yunara, you don't really want to be giving more gold back after how good your early game was.
You know what's funny though? The lane still sucks for Zika. After all that, he's still going to get run down. Right now he has a bit of experience advantage, which he'll feel happy about, but still going to be an advantage for the Gwen for the time being. Speaking of advantage, looks like a numbers one here for Weibo on the bottom side. Awesome! Just gets deleted as Jiejie finishes him off with a cease and desist.
So much has been going on, I didn't even get a chance to set up for first Vi ultimate, which is one of the most important cooldowns in the entire game. Utilizing that to get another kill onto the bottom side, specifically getting it onto the Vi herself. Really relevant for that engage in the later part of the game. And IP are going to have more tools around this dragon, so they're going to be able to start it up. But again, they have no AD carry in the area. This is going to be relatively risky for them.
Assum's on his way, so should be able to join the fight once it eventually begins, and if it eventually begins. But it looks like Weibo are okay with giving this up for now, knowing that Xiaohu is getting shoved in by his own right in the mid lane. So we'll be the first dragon going over to NIP. We said that them stacking Drakes could be important, and you know, it's not 5 minutes, but an 8-minute Drake isn't too bad.
I mean, we've already had a 2,000 gold swing in this game, and it's 8 minutes in, so yeah, getting dragons and forcing those fights is probably going to be important with just how greedy these teams have been. As Zika, you're absolutely right. This Sion's not having a fun time even with 2 free kills donated onto the top side, just the way that it works in this matchup. It will eventually, I say it eventually gets easier. It doesn't. It never gets easier for this Sion. It's just going to get bursted down.
Actually, just because you get the early kills and Gwen's not at that first item in either the Riftmaker or, you know, something else looks like it will be the Riftmaker. But that's going to change very quickly as Jiejie looking to make something happen with that first advantage in the top side by taking down these grubs.
Yeah, I like this play for Jiejie. We'll see if Guwon goes over, because he could be in some danger if he tries to fight this.
The Fury has Smite, but the Hank is here as well. Guwon just wants to take one of these away and then hop right on out. Care also in the wings with that stun available, but doesn't want to fully force a fight onto Weibo at this point. So looks like the Weibo is able to get just 2 of the 3 grubs, but they'll be pretty happy with that, with their gold lead still at around 800.
I think teams have pretty correctly identified that it's not worth throwing your game away to get 3 grubs. You don't want to be put into that position in a lot of the mid to late game. Yes, they're very relevant and they can feel very good, especially in my opinion for this NIP comp, who is really strong inside lanes at the end of the game, something we really haven't brought up. But look at the side lane pressure that Gwen, Nefiri, Annie are going to be able to put on. You know, that's a true win condition for this team. Being able to, at the very least, deny them a lot of the grubs throughout a lot of the late game is definitely going to be considered a win. But now the main objectives that we're looking at are definitely going to be dragons, as that's where those fights are going to get forced.
And NIP still should feel relatively comfortable with going for those fights, but you know, at this point, you know, before we hit that like 1-2 item spike, Weibo's composition not too shabby, right? The bot lane's been able to generate some plays. Elk is kind of ahead right now, and this is really where Weibo should want to play this.
I think it really just comes down to the Vi specifically. What do you want to do with the Vi on the map? This is why you draft the Bard, to move around the map and be that playmaking duo. Vi's ultimate is obviously so proactive, but pairing that up with the Tempered Fate, you can catch basically anybody out if they're overextended on the other side. You have to keep an eye on summoners being available for that champion. Flash is going to be up very, very shortly. The Hank obviously has Flash available in that same vein. Don't be surprised.
Oh yeah, there's that Tempered Fate right on cue, Kman on to carry. Flashes away from the Cosmic Binding. A little bit of a mistiming there from the rookie. And that means that Assum and Zhuo will be able to get some plates in the bottom lane in response.
I mean, that's the play, right? Like, that's your entire comp. You play around this Bard and the Vi. You try to make these plays happen in the mid game. Not having that work is actually really bad. It's free gold for Assum to catch back up onto the bottom side, and Care is more than fine burning his Flash to just stay alive. Obviously, an important summoner for Annie, but certainly not one that Care is going to be too frustrated that he lost. Jiejie's still going to be in the area. There's nothing to find here, though, and could just be trying to protect against Guwon.
Yeah, Guwon, I think, realizing that maybe Xiaohu was looking for a play alongside Jiejie as well. The NIP bottom lane looking to try to punish Elk, though. Polymorph lands onto the Jin. The Transcended Laser, though, does not finish the job. And so Elk and the Hank will be able to get out. And now the Curtain Call can be used in retaliation with Jiejie on the way. Cease and Desist will find him. The Wild Growth will not finish a little bit here, but Zhuo should be on the menu next. Elk finishes off the kill. It's 6-2 for Weibo Gaming here in this one.
It's a great play from Jiejie, but Elk has just been on fire today in terms of being able to find those abilities to hit. The skill shots have been perfect coming in from him throughout this entire series on both the Ezreal and the Jhin. That's obviously a huge influx of gold, and specifically getting gold onto the Jhin does solve some of your problems towards the later part of this game in terms of consistent damage. It looks like you just find a pick onto Elk. The Polymorph comes down, even with the Flash coming through, but unfortunately for Assum, he doesn't land any of his damage. He gets stunned up by the Hank, and at this point, he's way too low to try to make this play happen. One jungler's in the area, and the other is not. It's way too late at this point to try and disengage, even with the Lulu ultimate being dropped. Your health bars have just been chunked so much. It's a mistake from the bot lane that's been central and key to Ninjas in Pyjamas' success over the course of this split, and those are the kinds of mistakes that they can't really afford to make.
Yeah, I mean, that's the contrast of when those plays don't work out for Assum and Zhuo. They end up getting punished, and we haven't seen that too much so far, but you know, as we get closer to playoffs, the stakes become even higher. You wonder if that will continue to plague NIP as we go throughout the end of Split 2. Elk off to a good start. We said that Weibo needed to win in the early game or the late game. The early game has worked pretty well for them with the second dragon about to start.
I really thought this was going to be their weakest part, but I'm looking for another play potentially here.
Oh, man. The Hank's got to go read the LoL wiki, man. He's got to count how many seconds that Bard ulti lasts.
Yeah, it doesn't look super comfortable on the champion just yet, but at least he's making plays. I think that's the most important thing. You can't be passive on Bard. Unfortunately, this Tempered Fate's not really finding anything at this point, using that cooldown right before Dragon spawns as well. Kind of an important little cooldown for this skirmish. The inside track is going to be held by NIP. They're fighting for the wave here, but because of all that river pressure, they're just going to fight.
Transcendence popped here by Assum. The Wild Growth on top of him. Elk already forced out of things, but he gets hit up by the Deadly Flourish and now can use the Curtain Call once again. Third and fourth shot won't be able to take him down, as Zhuo and Carry do a nice job body blocking, and that means Guwon can head right back to the Mountain Dragon to try to make it a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, this is a really good play from the bot lane of NIP. Awesome understanding exactly the timers with which he can fight. And now Weibo Gaming are forced into a spot where they either have to contest 2v4 or they have to give over this dragon.
There, not level 2 his Tibbers just yet. Guwon dashes forward, able to take that dragon down. And NIP feeling nice on their way to a potential Hextech Soul.
This is without a doubt the best thing that Awesome does. See if I get time to talk about it as Guwon.
Yeah, Jiejie just finds Guwon out. He's able to go invulnerable with the Tibbers on top of Jiejie. Forces the flash away from the Vi as well, and so no blood ends up being shed. Xiaohu will be able to control this wave and get a couple of plates in the bottom side.
Yeah, a lot of chaos happening as Elk also going to be able to pick up some gold in the mid lane, but as I was saying a little bit before, this is the benefit of Awesome. What he never really does is play passive, play scared, as Hair is now in danger.
Speaking of aggressive, that's exactly what Weibo have here. Looks like this time the stun not going to connect onto Guwon, who goes forward the call to pack onto the Hank, but it's into a 1v3. And Jiejie is able to force him out of there. So Guwon once again looking for something aggressive and not able to find it.
Oh, I thought Guwon lost his mind for a second there, diving in. He's playing with a Lulu and an Annie, and I'm like, I don't know if you've got the damage to follow up on this play, brother. So luckily he's able to survive on that engage. Overall, it is a resource, a cooldown used by Guwon, but not costing his life, which is the most important thing. He will not have that flash available, but Jiejie's flash is also on cooldown, a big playmaking tool for Weibo. Dragon's still about 4 minutes away. Herald is up and is likely going to be the next priority, but again, we'll see how many, resources you want to spend trying to get this. We've seen teams start to back off from it.
There's Awesome. Once again, that's the point that you were going for, right, Kman? Even if it doesn't result in a kill, just getting control of the mid lane and allowing these fights to happen has been what has driven NIP to success.
Nobody does it better than Awesome right now. He just plays so aggro with his positioning. Guwon as well, just stepping up at half health.
He just eats the entirety of a combo from Zhao, who already forced to pop the call to pack. And there's Awesome going too far forward once again. Gets CC chained and taken down by Weibo. That is another death onto the NIP 80 carry. 1 and 3 on the Yunara, and that will result in WBG taking down the Rift Herald.
What a massive mistake! What is even the plan there? I mean, the Neferi is just stepping up with 0 health. The AD carry goes in to try to make that play worthwhile, but there's just no protection. There's no damage. There's no setup. There's no nothing. It's just such a sloppy play from an NIP team that feels like they've had control over this map up until this point. We get the replay here. Look at the damage going down on Zhuo early from the Hank, who actually does a great job here of trading, but look at Guwon's positioning. Kair's making his way down, yes, but Guwon's taking all of this aggro. He's already half health, and the curtain call just gets dropped. Awesome is basically the sacrificial lamb at this point for, the free damage coming in. I just don't really understand what the plan was there. You give over the objective and a kill for free, and Weibo now have a pretty big lead.
This is what they're going to have to keep doing. Snowball, snowball, snowball. They're up 2,000. Can they continue to turn that into more? Elk is really going for that lethality build at this point. Already has that Yomis. We'll see what that ends up turning into next. Looks like we had a bit of a play up on the top side. Xiaohu nearly ends up going down and had to flash away.
Classic Annie moment. Drop the combo and basically pick up a free kill on the map. Obviously, this is the kind of champion we wanted Kair on, but those are the plays they have to make. They're staying aggressive, now moving as a squad down to the bottom side.
Able to get on out of there with the magical journey. Looks like NIP not going to be able to find anything down here. And hey, for Weibo's sake, we said we were worried about the damage that this draft was able to put out. Looks like they've done a good job of being able to generate their leads regardless.
Look, chat's gonna hate me for this one, but you know who does a lot of damage at 4 items? Jhin. That champion really hurts if you can set up for free. He's halfway there, and he can really start to affect the game the more ahead you can get Elk throughout a lot of the end game here. So that is definitely a win condition and does solve quite a few of the damage problems for Weibo if he is accelerated. It's not going to be quite as easy for him as it would be naturally for something like Yunara, but Temper Fate goes wide.
Kair retaliating onto the Hank, forces down about 40%. Curtain Call not able to find any kills, but does mean the NIP are away from the river at this point. But Elk steps too far forward. He was on a ward. He gets stunned up here by the Annie, and Awesome's able to jump over the wall and shut him down. A big find for NIP to try to get themselves back into this game and regain control around the Dragon Pit that's spawning in 40.
All right, let me get that checklist crossed off. I've cursed Elk, I've cursed Awesome, I've cursed Guwon. I seem to be going down the list right now in terms of all of these players. Unfortunately, it just seems to be not the day for AD carries overstepping. That is a really nice pick. That's a ton of gold into the pocket of NIP, and just making sure that you can stay relatively even in terms of these item spikes. You can't get stat checked by this comp towards the back end of the game. Dragon spawning in 15 seconds. The Jin will not be quite there to be able to set up, but will be out on the map for this play, especially with Curtain Call available. So an important timer, as you can't really get caught here if you're the Hank.
And the Hank just once again stepping far forward. That's been a trend that we have noticed over the 2 series that he has played at the tier 1 level so far against. Still a lot to learn for this 19-year-old support. That has cost Weibo a couple of moments here, although not a game just yet. You have the Dragon now available. NIP would love to claim Soul Point right here.
8 seconds on Tempered Fate. Flash also not available for the Bard, but Jiejie can go for an engage. How aggressive do they want to be here as they fight for this Drake?
Zika teleports early. We'll see if Hoya actually just wants to respond or take gold up on the top side himself. It looks like that's going to be the answer, so that's NIP deciding to sacrifice the potential for Soul Point. Guwon dashes away from the unstoppable onslaught as Zika feeling very frisky in that one, but it does burn a teleport out from Care.
Yeah, if you're going to give the Drake over, you would rather not have to use teleport to TP out, just to stay safe in that regard, but at least you're getting something for it on the top side. This is clearly identifying what NIP want to play for, which is this side lane priority that they have had throughout the entirety of the game. This comp is actually really good in side lanes. This Gwen, this Neferi, this Annie. I know I'm kind of hammering the point home, but really, that is a true win condition for this squad. I understand not wanting to take that fight right here, right now, as you're still scaling up, but we'll see what they can get in return on the rest of the map. Get
a little bit of damage onto this mid lane tier 1, but I mean, you talk about here Hoya deciding not to join that dragon fight. He's able to pick up that whole tower, and all of a sudden that gold lead that Zika temporarily had out the window once more as a second item has been picked up for Hoya in the Nashor's Tooth. Tempered Fate had to be flashed away from by Zhuo. It looks like not any kills yet, and now you just send the Gwen down bottom. She's going to have teleport advantage if NIP, for whatever reason, decide to rip the Baron after finding a pick.
Would be quite bold of them, but it is good to use that Tempered Fate to get a flash. I mean, that is the kind of trade that you need to make if you're the Bard right now. Just try to get as many resources down on NIP as possible so that when you do force the play, you actually have the resources advantage to be able to make that play as easy as possible with your lack of damage. One thing to note, we talked about the scaling coming in from the Deathfire touch on both the Victor and the Jin. That's starting to come online and become a bit of a problem. We're getting closer and closer to third item completions for both of the carries here. Second item for Xiaohu, third item for Elk. And that's going to be a really big power spike for Weibo. Once this Victor gets online, the low range of NIP could actually become quite a bit of a problem.
See the Hank fearlessly driving into the tier 1 turret, able to take that one down. Second turret of the game should go over to Weibo eventually. Final turret shot, able to do it with the minions, but it looks like Guwon wants to respond. Goes forward to call the pack onto Elk, not able to find the kill. Meanwhile, Hoya is going to get targeted in a 1v2 situation. Jiejie cancels the dash. The unstoppable onslaught comes through. And that should be another kill here for Weibo. They get it onto Hoya, who's now 0-2.
Brilliant map play here from Weibo. They do a great job to dissuade that engage coming into the mid lane. Guwon tries to force because of the side lane pressure. Should be fine here. The dog is quite mobile and quite survivable with the resources that Neferi has at her disposal, but Zhuo might not be.
Flash as the Hank finds yet another Tempered Fate. This time he got the timer right. Lands that stun. That's 2 kills here for Weibo on both sides of the map. And they are continuing to play this pick game very nicely.
And that's exactly what you get for burning that flash earlier with the Tempered Fate. That's why you go for a lot of these picks in the mid game, because once you burn that flash, you can repeat it over and over again. That cooldown is quite short for the Bard. These are the kinds of plays you have to make with the Bard and the Vi, the core part of what this comp's identity is. Now with Weibo pressuring out the top side, they even send the Hank up there to protect and to be able to make that escape plan happen. It's just great map play. A team that was really bad in the mid game in game number 1, showing a lot of mid game dominance here in game number 2 in Weibo Gaming.
The highs and lows of Weibo Gaming is what we have kind of known and loved since LPL English was conceived at the start of 2025. You feel like this team on paper should be better than the Weibo that lost out in the regional qualifier last year with the names that they were able to pick up, but they find themselves in a very similar spot in the standings right now. But it's games like this where they're able to exert some of their dominance. They're just hands gap some people, right? With Zika, with Jiejie, that start to feel pretty confident about Weibo and their ability to potentially qualify for international for the first time in a little while.
I mean, like most of these players just had a ton of success in split number 1. They got top 3. It's really just about finding that synergy again, and it looks like it is starting to get better. Don't overthink this, though. You definitely don't want to make sure you slip up now. Oh, he's a danger.
You got that turret. See, this is normally what the Scion does. Take the turret, end up dying for it, but it looks like the Guwon might have to do the same. Jiejie not wanting to go too far forward onto Hoya, and actually Hoya on the Guwon wants to play the 2v1. The snip really doing a lot. He flashes away from the Vault Breaker. Not going to be able to flash away from that, though, as there is the Cease and Desist. Soul Furnace finishes the job, and Zika takes down Hoya once again. NIP really struggling here around their top side, despite Hoya being able to pick up a few of these big objectives.
It's just another questionable play for the Guwon. He actually does really well to get himself out of the initial engage. Jiejie doesn't want to burn the ultimate to lock down the Guwon if you can't guarantee that you're going to be able to pick up the kill. And then the Guwon goes back in and just dies. I don't really know what's going on. Hoya's had a really tough series in terms of decisions. We saw it with him frontlining on the Anivia in game number 1, and we're seeing it here on the Guwon as well. Just doesn't really seem to be all that comfortable here today, and it's costing NIP a lot of that side lane pressure they worked so hard to get.
It's been a bit of a new flavor for Hoya playing strong side, and we're seeing against a player like Zika with so much experience, not necessarily paying off, as now it'll be a 4v5 for Weibo around this 4th dragon. Again, could be soul point for NIP, but they're going to have to fight this out in a 4v5, and they will not be able to get into the pit. Smite secured by Jiejie, and Weibo can once again just escape, unless Hoya has anything to say about it, as he returns with a vengeance here onto Zika, but not able to do a ton of damage right now. NIP still look like they're looking for this fight.
Yeah, Guwon's getting chunked out a little bit on the backside here. Tempered Fate comes through.
Get away from the Tempered Fate as it only lands onto Zhuo, and now Assum really can come online. Forces the flash out of the Hank, and NIP have regained control of the mid lane.
If they're able to escape here with all of their lives, that's huge. But
Xiaohu protobots forward, and in goes the Neferi. Guwon gets immediately one shot, and Assum will go down as well. Oh no! What was NIP thinking? They thought that they had the play, but the tier 1 turret ends up being the MVP. That's going to be 3 members down on the Ninja side, and Hoya and Zhuo have to run for the hills.
Another massive miscalculation from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They dive in with this Neferi, but Guwon has yet to find any bit of damage. Throughout this game, he gets instantly deleted despite the Lulu ultimate being right on top of him. Assum just pays for the sins of his jungler this time around, as opposed to what happened in the Rift Herald fight earlier. This is a really good disengage from Weibo. Assum is trying to turn this onto the Hank, but again, that gravity field coming in from Victor is so relevant in terms of creating that space. Xiaohu plays this fight so well. Yes, he tanks up a lot of the damage, but we're here on Baron now as we come out of this fight, and looks like it'll just be Weibo's for free as Hoya just tried to scare him a little bit.
Thought they might try to wait for Xiaohu's death timer to end up, but they were too worried of Guwon jumping into that pit, so they just end up taking it for 4 out of their 5 members, and for Weibo, they continue to push the pace, and they still have themselves a 3K lead.
I mean, it's just clinical. It's bad gameplay from NIP in terms of how they are playing these fights, but Weibo still has to make the most of it. Xiaohu's KDA doesn't look great. He has been excellent in this game on the Victor in terms of creating that space with a lot of his abilities. It's the most important thing that champion can do. Has a bit of a gold lead to kind of talk about it with, but look at the carries across the board. 4 kills for Sion, 4 kills for Vibe, 4 kills for Jin. I'm sure Jin is loving that number just being repeated everywhere across the entire team right now, but it's just so even where this gold is split. It means that even if you have that Neferi and the Annie being able to find some of these picks, catching one member doesn't matter. You have to be able to win these front-to-backs. It makes Assum even more important as we start to get closer and closer towards this endgame.
I think the scaling might eventually start to come through here for NIP, but Weibo all of a sudden feeling powerful in their own right. We have a 3rd item for Elk in the rapid fire cannon. Jiejie getting close to his 3rd, as well as Xiaohu. And they're going to continue to hold this advantage, take down these objectives, and now Guwon could get caught out in his own jungle. The Hank goes forward with Magical Journey. He has to flash away from that deadly flourish, but Guwon's able to survive for now, jump back to his team as the curtain call does get open. 2-man decimating smash, but they're unable to find anything more as Zika getting tanked very dangerously low as well. Assum has transcended. Hoya looking to try to re-engage here with a massive needlework. They find Xiaohu and force the flash out of Zika and the Hank. Weibo Gaming thought they found their fight, but NIP strike right back.
The power of the Guwon is on full display in that fight. The thing that they've not been able to find at any point, which is both Hoya finding the backline and Kair's stuns coming in on the Annie, end up linking up for the first time this game, and we get to see the power of this comp when they do get to play 5v5. This game is certainly not over just yet. was a bit of a miracle engage here. The fact that Guwon gets out of this in the first place is insane. It just goes to show how safe Naafiri is as a champion. He's caught so far behind enemy lines at this point, able to recoup with the rest of the team. But look at Hoya's positioning. Basically forces Xiaohu out of this entire fight at the beginning. No damage is actually going down onto Assum. And once Hoya jumps over the wall, they're so disconnected and so separated. Elk is basically not able to auto-attack anybody throughout the entirety of this fight. And Hoya is just free hitting. Again, if you can set up those CC chains, Hoya will punch him down despite some of the deaths.
The Tibber's big for care there as well to make sure that Xiaohu did get 100 to 0. Weibo, though, still have the Baron buff for another 20 seconds, and they want to try to still continue to take advantage of it. They have claimed all the tier 2 turrets, only of the inhibitors are left standing at this point. They got to be careful not to go too far forward. There's a deep teleport coming in from
here we
care.
go.
And it looks like NIP want to try to make this the fight. Weibo have spotted this out and are beginning to kite away. They are awaiting care in the bush. He finds the Hank immediately. The Bard still will remain alive, but Hoya will make that a 1-0. It will be Care dying on the backside, though, but Hoya has been unleashed on the Gwen. He goes forward for a triple kill, taking down the Victor, and only Jiejie is left up standing with Zika already TPing away.
15 seconds on Dragon as well. That's sole point. Jiejie has to run away. He gets to keep his Guardian Angel intact, but is the game even salvageable at this point? Hoya is just so fed. We talked about this being a great counter pick into the Scion. We were worried about Hoya being strong side, having to be the carry for this Ninjas in Pyjamas team. He is stepping up massive in this game. It's a great flank teleport from Care, who gives his life to the exchange, but it's perfect execution coming in from NIP, who have taken a game that looks basically unplayable and turned it completely on its head. We get the teleport in from Care. They do have vision of him because of the blue trinket, but what do you even do about the Annie at this point? Already way behind enemy lines. Yes, Bard's not the priority target. Who cares? Jiejie blows so much to take down an Annie who has already done her job. The damage is down. The ult is down, and Hoya is ripping through Weibo Gaming. The damage coming in from that champion. I don't care about your side lane deaths. You are dominating the late game, and that's what I want to see out of the NIP top laner.
Ironically enough, against the Scion, it has been a Bausian performance from Hoya in this game too. Sure, you die a little bit, sure you get caught out in the side lane, but picking up waves and delivering in the team fights, and that is what Hoya has been able to do during some of NIP's wins throughout Split 2.
Beautiful stuff from NIP. However, not to dampen a lot of the good vibes that are going on right now, it's still a 3k gold lead for Weibo, and look at Elk's inventory. The Infinity Edge has been completed, level 16 for him. This is a very strong Jhin. Zika could be the target here, but Jiejie's in the area. This could be the full fight.
Care? He flashes forward and misses the Tibbers. That is a big cooldown. I mean, it should be up again by the time another big fight happens around the Baron, but Jiejie is going to feel happy about that, and now Weibo take advantage here of NIP a little bit. The Hank going to be in some trouble, though. He thought he was safe with the Magical Journey, but the Magical Journey goes straight to the grave as Guwon gets another kill for himself, and now NIP once again working in a 4v5.
You know, we were talking about how the Hank at times looked uncomfortable on this Bard with some of the ways that he was timing his Qs after Tempered Fates. That was trusting too much in the champion, not recognizing how much danger he was actually in. A decently consequential death there, as now the entire river is going to get fully warded coming in here from NIP. It's just mistake after mistake from Weibo, a comp that I was already worried about getting outscaled, because you're playing into this Yunara, this Gwen, this Naafiri, who can both play side lanes and come together to play these team fights with so much damage. You can't be making these mistakes in team fights and also have little damage. You need now to make sure that you shore up a lot of these plays. You still have plenty of ways back into the game, but at some point the Vi is just going to get bursted and these options are going to start running out.
And when you're Weibo, that's what you have to be worried about, right? You have a rookie support. You're working with a roster that has not been together for the full season versus NIP, who's been around since the Demacia Cup, and you're up against a composition that really likes to side lane and play these chaotic fights, and we've seen NIP be able to take advantage of that over these last couple of minutes. They've stayed in the game, and with Baron up, despite it being 2k up for Weibo, it feels like a dead even game state at this point.
Certainly, you get hit by Annie stun, you are dead in this game, no matter who you are. You have to keep an eye on Care. No flash available, but every resource left as he's looking for a flank.
Yeah, speaking of Care, he goes in, but it looks like it's going to be Guwon in some trouble first. There goes the Annie, finds the stun onto the Hank. Awesome, able to finish the job with the Transcendent auto attacks. And that means that NIP gets the first kill in the fight. Curtain Call going to try to slow down Care as the Unstoppable Onslaught comes forward here for Zika. Finds a fully charged ulti onto Zhuo, and Care's the next to follow. Weibo able to retaliate, and they go eventually 2 for 1.
Yeah, it's a brilliant trade from Weibo. Elk has been phenomenal in this game on the Jin. Understands that as long as he is not the one that is getting bursted by Annie, he can always turn the fight around after the cooldowns are used. NIP's comp has to go forward, and Weibo, off the back of being able to counter-engage, are starting up the Baron. We'll see if Guwon wants to try to steal.
No ultimates available, but Assum does have flash, and Hoya is about to come up as well. Guwon, really not a great way to get into the pit at this point, though, as the Baron's already at 3,000 HP. In they go! Smite secured here by Jiejie as the Vi lands the final shot. And that means that NIP will have to go on the defensive with the numbers advantage already going towards WBG's side. Nice retaliative fight by Weibo to make sure they stay alive and look for that series sweep.
That fight likely saves the entire game. We're going to get a replay of this. Care is on the flank angle, and once again, this looks perfect for NIP. Yes, Guwon goes in. He gets shut down a little bit here by Jiejie, but because it's Nefiri, he can just keep himself safe on the back end of this fight. Once Care finds a priority target, or at least a target in the Bard, it's a free kill. Assum stepping up and being able to delete him. But at this point, you've used all your tools. Annie has burned the cooldown. Zhuo has burned the cooldowns, and the retreat is just not good enough from NIP as they're caught out, separated. Care getting hit by that second to last shot coming in from Jin, really essential towards getting that slow and making sure the Annie can't get out as well. Elk has had a phenomenal game, and look at the inventory for this Jin. Again, all the people in chat that want to say Jin's not going to do any damage, I think we might be seeing a little bit of a different story here at the end of game number 2.
Here?
Oh. Does he know? Does
Okay.
he know?
He dealt the damage. Teleport's going to come in anyway. Looks like neither top laner really wanted to fight for this one because they know that the soul is available for NIP. Looks like Hoya's going to join the party eventually. Does have that 4th completed item now. See if NIP are able to win out on a 5v5. This time, Elk gets exposed here as Guwon already goes in, but he gets one shot by Xiaohu. Speaking of one shot, though, it's a trade on the other side as the Hank already is getting taken down, but Assum's already very low, and Zika is just a beast on this front line. Takes down the Yunara, and the 4th shot finds Hoya. A double kill in for Elk, and only Care remains with Weibo pushing down mid.
Weibo Gaming, they are going to be able to close out this series with a 2-0 victory, and they do it off the back of a fantastic performance from their star AD carry. From downtown, Zika slays Care. Weibo put the cementing thoughts on a dominant 2-0 that they desperately needed.
Some revenge on NIP in their home arena. Weibo playing spoiler here in the back half of the regular season. They will secure a sweep over the home team and get themselves back up to 5-8.
Whew. My heart rate's up grapes. I'm feeling a little crazy after that one. What a series. I mean, super fun back and forth between these two teams. 2-0 definitely does not tell the story for how well NIP played in both of these games, where they absolutely had the chance to win game 1. They had the chance to win game 2, but when it really came down to it, who stepped up at the end of both games? It was Elk, who was phenomenal in this game 2 on the Jin, got a massive lead, and just obliterated the front line throughout this entire one, was able to survive on the Guwon engage, and I'm just really happy for Weibo. They needed a confidence booster, and this was exactly what they were looking for.
I mean, 2-0ing NIP, you know, at the start of the year, you might, you know, chalk this one up as expected, but that is not the direction that this season has gone for either of these teams. Weibo really doing a nice job in just playing the macro game out very well. They knew that NIP had the stronger side lanes, and they just decided to force fights right down the mid lane. A lot of it was Zika with those Scion ultimates, and, you know, honestly, though, I feel like a lot of it was also Guwon kind of going a little bit too far forward on that Nefiri a few times.
Trusting in yourself a little too much. I understand that, you know, the Kiana was great and really important. I think they misunderstood the comp in game number 2, if I'm being honest. Hoya was so strong on the Gwen, and I think we just saw an experience where they were thinking, okay, Guwon can dive in, go invulnerable, and then we can follow up on whatever damage Guwon's able to do by bringing the Annie and the Gwen in and really trying to create the fight from there. The problem is that really, the way these fights needed to happen is you needed to catch priority targets like the Jin with Annie stuns before Guwon dove in, and it just didn't happen. It felt like they were desynced in terms of their engages, and it cost them the entire game.
Yeah. Care a couple times on that Annie really had the opportunity to make something happen, and just, you know, he was really good at ulting the Bard. Felt like maybe you want to find somebody else towards the back end of that one. He had a bit of a rough one. Xiaohu playing very well himself, and that's just some of that experience gap that we'll have to continue to talk about, both for Weibo but also for NIP as we get later on into this season.
I mean, these are the games that you kind of need to win to build that confidence. I mean, these games were winnable. Both of these games were winnable for NIP. And I think that's what probably makes it sting even more is they were in a spot where they absolutely could have walked out of this 2-0, feeling good, feeling comfortable. But instead, this was the series they needed to win, and they couldn't win it. We talked about their hopes in terms of being able to get top 4. I'm not going to say they're completely dashed off this result because you can 2-0 top esports and you can 2-0 WE and still potentially have a chance of being able to make it in if one of JDG or AL end up going winless throughout the rest of the split, but it certainly means that your road's a lot harder. I mean, having to 2-0 top esports is not a really good place to be in, and it's really just unfortunately set up by themselves here today.
Let's take a look at our updated standings, because there's been some interesting stuff that has opened up now with this result taking place. You can see Weibo going up to 5-8, and NIP, the max wins that they can now get is 7. That means that the winner of this next series, AL and JDG, will clinch a spot in top 4 by picking up their 8th win. We also have Top Esports officially clinching a postseason berth as well.
No real surprises in terms of the qualification as we get a look at the post-game stats. Zika, most damage on winning team. Big ups to the Sion. Massive Sion game, quite frankly, from Zika, who was always up in the side lane. Got 2 free kills, outplaying a dive in the early game, and then was even able to pick up a couple of kills onto Hoya, overextending in the mid game as well. Played those team fights excellently. I've been hyping up Elk a lot because I really do think he had a phenomenal performance on the Jhin. I think you could easily justify a Zika player of the game here in game number 2, and it really just goes to show the effect that you can have on those tank champions if you're just positioning correctly.
I mean, we really felt like Hoya was going to be able to turn some of these fights around, and he was pretty powerful, but it turns out the scaling for Weibo just was a little bit too strong, and it's plays like this. Okay, man, Hoya not able to finish the job here. Zika getting strong. He never died on this game. We never saw that Sion passive in fruition, and that's normally a good thing when you're talking about a player like this.
Report Zika, never use Sion passive, completely wasted ability. What's even the point of drafting the champion? Unbelievable game from Zika. Somebody who's needed to step up. I mean, Hoya obviously got a lot of attention because he was destroying team fights and was the highest damage in the game. But again, I think Zika, for the most part, outplayed him in this one. Just didn't have the same kind of resources. He took a bad matchup, outplayed a dive 2v2 on the top side, had full control over the side lanes where he was never entirely pushed out, and then just was super effective in team fights. What could you possibly want from your tank more than that? That's even with NIP, looking aggressively onto his backline. He still was able to keep a lot of them safe.
It was a game that maybe the gold lead didn't necessarily fully display what the top lane situation was looking like, as Hoya, he really needed to be in those side lanes, and Weibo never really let that happen. And so again, this is the Weibo Gaming that we want to continue to see going into the later half of this season. Remember, they finished top 3 with most of the same roster, and if they think that the Hank is going to be able to continue to scale up in his level of play, I mean, the sky still continues to be the limit for this team. We just haven't been able to see them fully take control of that yet.
The Hank had a series. I think he was great in game 1. I think that's certainly something that people are going to feel pretty good about. I think the Karma game was genuinely very good from him. Paid for the sins of his AD carry a couple of times by overstepping for vision. All well and good. You kind of have to do that as a support every once in a while. But game number 2, obviously, you're looking for more proactivity out of this team. One thing that Hong was kind of brought in to do was be a playmaker, an engager for this team, because that's what he was good at. The Hank is very clearly a different player. He wants to play more for 2v2 dominance, wants to play more on these enchanters. That is what we have found success on already in our short, limited time. If he can start to level up some of these games on Bard, on Nico, on Rakan, that can really unlock another avenue for Weibo that they could even grow something bigger into. You already feel like you're upgrading in the 2v2, getting Elk more comfortable. You might even really have like a genuinely good support on your hands here if he can kind of expand that champion pool.
Man, just going through some of these replays again, I think the broadcast team is setting up for a Zika Pog. The way that they're showcasing his team fighting abilities here, lining up the decimating smashes perfectly to deny some of these engages that NIP was looking for. They ended up looking pretty foolish by players like Guwon and Care, but a lot of it was because of how Zika was able to play those out on the side. So he weathered the storm up in the top lane and was able to put up a really high quality performance to get a little bit of momentum here for Weibo, and also to make sure that they don't have to play against a team like LNG in the first round of Night's Rivals.
I don't want to play against LNG or EDG. Not that Weibo would be underdogs in either of those series. I think you could reasonably say that they are better than both of those teams on paper. But, like, why risk it? Why? I would much rather play LGD. I would much rather play Thunder Talk if you can get that kind of gig. Like, that's definitely much closer to where I would be and you know, hoping and praying in terms of these standings. And that's where NIP wanted to be as well. And unfortunately, they're now in danger of potentially losing out on a couple of spots and getting themselves into some hot water down the stretch as well. So this result is kind of flipping the entirety of the play-in stage on its head.
It's been a very interesting bottom half of Group Ascend to watch over these last few weeks, especially since WE has suddenly entered the conversation and started taking games off of some of these other teams like Weibo, even a series against IG. It really feels like we're starting to get super competitive down the line, and that means that a lot of these playoff matches, not just like, you know, the upper half of things, but these like not lower tier teams, but like these middle of the pack teams fighting out is going to be really, really exciting once we get to that stage in the postseason.
Oh, man. I mean, the playoffs are already looking so fun, Graves. Like, we're already setting up for so many fun matchups. So many of these teams have questions and major problems, and that means that I can guarantee you there's going to be some playoff heroics. There's going to be a team that randomly shocks people and makes it to top 3 or top 4, and quite frankly, I don't know who's qualifying for MSI, and I think that's the most fun thing I could possibly say right now about how fun the LPL has been.
Yeah, well, you know, speaking of fun, this next series is going to bring the entertainment value as well. Jiejie Gaming and Anyone's Legend now in a battle for a automatic playoff berth. Winner will officially clinch that top 4 spot in Group Ascend. Kman, we have casted 2 very long games. It felt like a 3-game series in a way, but it's back to the mines for you as we take a little bit of a swim up north to Beijing, to the home arena of JDG. We got Slayer on the call next after